So, Stephen D here on Pure 24/7 Radio, and I'm joined by one of the writers for Pure Media, the magazine. Hello, Richard Scott.
Stephen, very good to meet again.
Excellent. So, shall we start with what it is you get up to?
Now, that's a good question because things have changed. I retired as a GP this year, having hit the magic number of 65. That's years, by the way. And so now I'm getting used to having a fifth grandchild. Gives me a bit more chance to do the stuff in church that was getting a bit compressed and other things in life. I think that's what I've learned about, say, retirement is it's a gift. Then the question is how you use the gift. And I'm just really navigating that.
Yeah, and one of the things you do is write for Pure Media, the magazine, with your column. And in your latest article, What Does Kindness Look Like? You share an interesting story, an interesting experience. Do you want to kind of unpack what inspired writing this?
Yeah, do you know, one of the things I used to get frustrated about in church was that the leaders who were on stage weren't being honest. And because I knew a lot, not only as a friend, but often as their GP, about their lives, and everything would seem to be perfect from the stage. And I'm thinking that's just not the case. So I like to start off with a bit of honesty. And my honesty was basically talking about an incident which demonstrated a total lack of kindness on my part. And when I raised the issue to my wife, she just raised her eyes and said, "Yeah, maybe that's an area for development, as they call it, or a weakness, as we used to call it." So essentially, I was on holiday. So there I'm having a lovely time with some friends, and we'd done a bit of a walk, and we're in a Scottish cafe, and there was a terrible queue. So we're in Scotland on holiday, terrible queue. And anyway, so obviously everyone in the queue's in the same position as me, and we all have to queue up. And the bloke ahead gets to that wonderful moment when his flat white is practically begging to be drunk. When he realizes his card doesn't work, his bank card doesn't work. He's then one of these sort of entrepreneurial types who has about 7 bank cards in his pocket, none of which work. And of course, because he has all these cards, he doesn't have any cash. And I'm watching this thinking, number one, could you get a move on? Because I'm hungry, which wasn't very spiritual. And number two, even less spiritual, I had a nod from God, pay his bill, which is something I've done on occasion in the past. And I have to say, something that people have done to me in the past. And I just ignored it and thought, oh, for goodness sake, and didn't pay his bill. He then walks away sadly, and I get my flat white and cake, and all is very lovely, except that when I told Heather, my wife, the story, she said, "Why didn't you pay his bill? It was a tenner. What fraction of your holiday budget is that?" Answer, tiny. And it was just an embarrassing moment, not least because the Holy Spirit had prompted me and I'd ignored it. And 2 messages, really. Number one, come on, you can't just be a Christian on Sundays, try and apply it to the rest of the week. And number two, when you get a prod from the Holy Spirit, blooming answer it, because God is tapping on your head for a reason. I mean, I talk about this stuff to other people, and it's no good, quite honestly, if you don't apply it yourself. So, yeah, it was a bit of a learning experience, and that's why when I was doing an article on kindness, I thought I need to start with the truth.
I like that, the truth, absolutely. Giving your own story, it's like, actually, we're all going to struggle with this. Here's my example, and I love that. That's really good.
Thank you.
So then you went on into the article to talk about someone and their acts of kindness, a judge, in fact.
Yes. Well, one of the things, because I like to look out for articles anyway, but since being involved with the radio the last couple of years, it's sort of given me an impetus to really look carefully at some of the stuff that comes my way, whether it's a secular newspaper, Times, Sunday Times, sports, which I'm massively into, something on a blog, anything that comes my way. And this came my way from Premier, the Christian radio station based in London. And they blogged on this chap who had just died. And I thought, okay, let me look at why is he called America's nicest judge? Or it could have been America's kindest judge. It would have amounted the same thing. And not only did they do an article on him, but they summarized 5 of his main cases, illustrating kindness from a legal perspective. What does it look like? And I thought, well, that's interesting. I've got to look that one up. So I did, and hence the article in November.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So that's your story and what you brought to this article. What do you want people to take away from it? What do you want people to sort of think about?
Well, there are 9 fruits of the Holy Spirit. And, all of us, I reckon, as Christians, probably are stronger in some areas than others. And I remember when I did chemistry, A-level, in order to become a doctor, that one of the things I always remember from chemistry A-level is what was called the rate limiting step in a chemical reaction, which is the slowest point. And no matter how fast the rest of the chemical reaction goes, This slowest point will slow you down critically. Once you're past the slowest point, you can move on. So in many, that's why God has provided catalysts which can speed up reactions. But you need to deal with the slowest point, otherwise they'll slow you up. And I think for all of us, we probably have a slowest point in our lives as Christians, if you like, within the fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, etc., and kindness, perhaps is one of mine. I say one of mine because I suspect there's other areas. There's things I'm quite good at. I'm good at gratitude, for example. Joy, yeah, I'm not bad at that one. Peace, average. But kindness, and I think this illustration in Scotland, yeah, was just pointed it out to me again. So perhaps for our listeners, maybe have a look at the 9 fruits of the Spirit, and maybe just ask yourself a tough question. Where's your rate limiting step? Where's your weakest point? And you need to work on the weakest point. Just a bigger illustration, I remember in churches, for example, often there's 5 areas which a church needs to do well to be really effective. And most churches are good at 1 or 2 and rather less good at 3. So say you're really good at worship in your church or preaching. And then what the tendency is, well, we're really good at this. Let's do it even better. But if you're not good at prayer, if you're not good at looking after the poor, then that's your rate limiting step, and your church will be affected by what you're worst at, not by what you're best at. Yeah, I'm not saying get worse at what you're best at, but the danger is we just do what we're good at even more and ignore what we're bad at. And I think it's true in churches, it's true in all of our lives. So yeah, a bit of honesty, perhaps.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I kind of think when you're going for a walk with a group of people, you go at the slowest individual's pace, and it's that kind of same thing. What's our weakest point in the fruit of the Spirit in other areas of life? What's that weakest point that's holding us back? And that's a really good challenging question. Thank you so much for bringing that to us.
Which came to me this week, actually, from one of the ministers I work with locally in Margate. And he said that inter-church stuff, so stuff trying to bring the churches together, moves at the rate of relationships. So you can try and do this project, that project, but actually, if you don't look after the relationships between people, it's going to be very slow.
Yeah.
So that's your rate limiting step between churches. Get on with each other. The unity really, the John 17 unity really matters, and then the projects can develop nicely.
Yeah, it's about prioritizing it, really, isn't it? It's making the most important things, the things that matter the most, putting them first and foremost, and those rate limiting steps, as you put it, making sure that they're sorted out, and then you can get forward. You can move forward in life, in all areas of life, if you work on these little areas that we might struggle with. So, thank you so much.
Because it's identify or saying to myself, or you saying to yourself, a listener saying, do you know, I'm not very good at this. Because it's easier to say, and people will say, oh, that preach was great in church, or you played the worship nicely, and it's, oh, that's very nice, and you feel good about yourself. But actually, we all know what, to be honest, to an extent, what we do well, and if we're really honest, we know what we do badly. But it's uncomfortable, so it's easier just to ignore it. I'll just carry on preaching. I'll just carry on. No. Look at the bad stuff as well, and the Holy Spirit prompts you, doesn't he? He'll say, hey, Richard, hey, Nathan, this is what I want you to do. Well, I don't want to do it, Lord. Yeah, but I want you to do it. And in fact, I'm telling you to do it. And so again, when you get that little tap on the head from the Holy Spirit, don't ignore it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Richard Scott. It's been a pleasure chatting with you and talking about this column in the magazine. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.